Monica Harris, a successful black woman, was dragged into court, accused of a crime she didn't commit. Humiliated and targeted by a broken system, she faced impossible odds, until she revealed a truth so shocking it left her accusers stunned. What she did next would astonish even the most jaded. But let's start at the beginning. The bustling streets of downtown Los Angeles buzzed with life. Street vendors shouting, cars honking, and the scent of fresh coffee wafting through the air. Monica Harris, a sharply dressed black woman in her early 30s, stepped out of a small independent bookstore, clutching a paperback novel and her purse. The afternoon sun warmed her face as she headed toward her car. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Stop right there." Monica turned, startled, as two police officers approached her, their hands resting on their holstered guns. "Is there a problem?" she asked, her calm demeanor masking the unease creeping up her spine. "We have reason to believe you've been involved in a theft," the taller officer said, his voice curt and authoritative. Monica blinked, caught off guard. "A theft? I just bought this book. Here's the receipt." She reached into her bag, but the officer's hand shot out, stopping her. "Keep your hands where I can see them," he barked. A crowd began to gather, murmurs rippling through the onlookers. Monica felt the weight of their stares, a mix of curiosity and judgment. "I'm not resisting," Monica said firmly, raising her hands slightly. "But this is a mistake." The second officer stepped closer, holding up a tablet displaying a grainy security video. The footage showed a woman, similar in build to Monica, slipping an item into her bag at a nearby store. "That's not me," Monica said, her voice steady despite the growing tension. "Look closer. The woman in the video has a tattoo on her wrist. I don't." She extended her arms to show her bare skin, but the officers didn't budge. "Save it for the station," the taller officer said as he pulled out handcuffs. "What? You can't be serious?" Monica exclaimed, her heart pounding. "This is a misunderstanding." But her protests fell on deaf ears. As the officers cuffed her and read her rights, Monica locked eyes with the crowd, her expression a mix of frustration and determination. She knew this wasn't just about her. It was about the system that had too often assumed guilt based on the color of her skin. Monica sat motionless in the suffocating interrogation room, her hands still bound tightly behind her back. The air was thick with the sterile scent of cleaning supplies, doing little to mask the lingering tension. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed relentlessly, casting a harsh clinical glow that only amplified the oppressive atmosphere. Her metal chair was cold and unyielding, its edges digging uncomfortably into her back. Every detail of the room, from the stark white walls to the battered table separating her from her accuser, seemed designed to strip her of her humanity. Across from her sat Detective Mills, his middle-aged face lined with years of cynicism and authority. His graying hair was combed back with precision, but it couldn't hide the smug expression etched onto his features. He leaned forward, folding his hands in an almost casual manner, though his tone was anything but. "Why don't you make this easy on yourself and confess?" His voice was low, calculated, and dripping with disdain, as though the verdict had already been delivered. Monica didn't flinch. Her dark eyes met his, with a calm, yet unyielding defiance. "Confess to what?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with sharpness. "You have the wrong person." Mills chuckled, the sound hollow and patronizing. "You fit the description," he said, tapping the table for emphasis. "You were in the area, and the video doesn't lie." Her gaze didn't waver. "Descriptions are vague, and videos aren't infallible," she replied, her words cutting through his confidence. "Where's the actual evidence?" His smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of irritation. "You've got an attitude for someone in your position," he sneered. Monica leaned forward, her voice as firm as her resolve. "I'm in this position because you assumed guilt before looking at the facts. Now, either charge me or let me go." Mills stood abruptly, slamming his palms on the table, his composure slipping. "You think you're smart, huh? Let's see how smart you are when this goes to court." Monica's eyes narrowed, her voice calm and deliberate. "I'll see you there." The tension hung thick in the room as Mills stormed out, leaving Monica alone, unshaken and more determined than ever. The courtroom hummed with hushed whispers and anticipation as Monica Harris strode in, her head held high. The tension was palpable, an electric charge that seemed to hang in the air. She was flanked by her lawyer, a confident woman in a sharp navy suit, and a small group of close friends who had come to show their unwavering support. Their presence lent her strength, but Monica's resolve was already unshakable. Across the aisle, the arresting officers sat stiffly, their uniforms crisp, their expressions smug. They exchanged glances that spoke of certainty, their body language dripping with the arrogance of men who believed they held all the cards. To them, this was just another open and shut case, one that would bolster their reputations and affirm their power. What they didn't realize, as Monica took her seat, was that they were grossly unprepared for the battle ahead. For the past week, Monica had poured every ounce of her energy into preparing for this moment. While the officers viewed her as just another civilian to steamroll, Monica knew otherwise. She wasn't merely a victim defending herself against false charges. She was a federal prosecutor, someone who had built her career dismantling flimsy cases like theirs. When her name was called, Monica rose with poise and approached the stand. The room fell silent, every eye fixed on her as she began to speak. Her voice was calm, but carried an edge of steel as she recounted the events of her arrest. She meticulously exposed every flaw in the investigation: the lack of credible evidence, the failure to follow procedure, the racial profiling. "And now, Your Honor," Monica said, turning to face the judge, "I'd like to present my credentials." She reached into her briefcase, the leather creaking softly in the silence, and pulled out her bar certification and federal prosecutor ID. Gasps rippled through the courtroom like a wave. The officers' smirks vanished, replaced by wide-eyed shock and dawning horror. "I am not only innocent," Monica said, her voice commanding, "but I am also someone who has dedicated my career to upholding justice. What happened to me is a gross miscarriage of that justice." The room erupted in whispers, the weight of her words sinking in as the truth shattered their assumptions. The judge dismissed the case, citing lack of evidence and misconduct during the arrest. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Monica. She stood tall, addressing the cameras. "This isn't just about me," she said. "This is about a broken system that disproportionately targets people of color, and I won't stop until it's fixed." Her words ignited a wave of support, sparking a public outcry against systemic injustice. The officers involved were suspended, pending an internal investigation, and Monica vowed to use her platform to ensure accountability. For the first time in days, Monica allowed herself a small, victorious smile. The battle was far from over, but she had turned the tide, and she wasn't done fighting.